Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood as we continue this ghostly 1980s J.H. Allison's picks for his birthday month, talking some ghost figures that will haunt you through rich millionaires' mansions. They will come to your dreams at nighttime. You will have to find the rare persons that can channel the evil spirits to possess them, to let us know, normal folk, of what they're talking about. Because yes, the Retro Blood is doing 1980s ghost movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
Up next, if y'all like more old people, how's it one guy named John? If y'all like seances in a house, if y'all like some old guy who like plays the piano, who is apparently super fucking rich. I mean, me and Alison listen to a lot of music, and I don't know any piano guy who can fucking afford a mansion. But this guy can, John. All right. Maybe he got that insurance money off his dead family. I don't know. Yes, I've been drinking. All right. If y'all like a story about a kid who gets killed by his daddy, then the daddy gets another kid, sends him off to Germany, and then that kid comes back rich, then this is the story for you, because the Retro Blood is talking all about the Changeling, brother. J.H. Alison, James Kline, what's happening, Alison? How is your mansion? You know, you kind of look like that John guy a little bit.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll take that.
Are you a pianist? Or what do they say it? Are you a pianist?
A pianist? Yeah.
Okay.
That's totally me. I'm a pianist.
What's that movie we did before that I fucked up the piano guys? What was that movie? Remember that movie? That was a couple years ago.
I remember that happening, but I don't remember what movie it was. But that was fucking fantastic. I remember that happening. I did not consider that all of these movies had old people in them.
They all do, bro.
And there's more old people in this movie too.
That must be like an old guy thing, or a ghost everywhere. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think that's kind of that's like a thing where because a lot of these movies, they've all had a secret from a long, long time ago, and now the secret's catching up to them like 50 years later or whatever, and it's kind of what's happening in this movie too.
Yeah.
But we've talked about doing this movie for a long time, and you had wanted to do it, so hopefully you liked it.
It's all right.
But I love this movie. This movie to me is a classic. This movie scared the shit out of me the first time I saw it, and honestly, it kind of scared me when I watched it this time too.
Yeah.
I'll explain to you why it's scary to me. But I find this movie just fucking terrifying. But I love this film, and I've wanted to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we could bring it to the show.
Yes.
So I'm doing really good in Ghost Month so far.
Some of them are hit or miss. You know what I mean? That one last week, bro, was something else.
Yeah.
Those old fuckers.
Yeah.
Godly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, this one, it wasn't too bad. I wouldn't say it scared me, but there's a conversation that we've had before. I'm not sure if we ever had it on air, but maybe I could bring it up right now.
But we were going to talk about it.
We were going to talk about this. So, me personally, the ghost thing doesn't really do it for me. All right?
Right.
But I know why. You know, I never grew up like being scared of ghosts, or like had like some ghost house, or got like traumatized by a poltergeist or anything like that, or got fed into my brain like, oh, ghosts are gonna come get you and shit like that. Like, even when I started watching horror movies, I think the earliest horror movie I can remember when I was a kid, okay, because it was that scared the shit out of me, was like the Blair Witch Project. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's scary too, in a different way.
In a different way. But, yes, that could be technically ghost around the forest, but the biggest scary part was the unknown of the forest that scared me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
exactly.
But then other than that, it would be like the serial killers would like scare the shit out of me mostly, or freak me out. Like the real life serial killers, I would say the slasher films, but like the madmans that come out there and they're like real people, kind of like that Maniac, something like that. Like those kind of people freak me out. Gangs of people trying to get to you. the ghost thing has never really done it for me. Like, I like the ghost lore, like how they do the movies. You know what I mean? Like, I like how they, you know, intertwine like your fears of the dark and stuff. They kind of add ghostly stuff to that and stuff. But I would say most ghost movies really just don't freak me out because I just don't. It's just not something that's ever like been scary to me.
Right. So, and this is one of the reasons I love doing the show with you is because we both have this completely different perspective, right? So the thing is, like, serial killers don't scare me because I feel like I can control earthly things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if there's a guy on the other side of the room that wants to kill me, there's always a chance that I'm going to kill him first, right? Yeah. And I can control that. And I would put my money on myself over any serial killer in a one-on-one fight for sure. But ghost shit scares me because I feel like it's something that I can't control. Like, I don't understand ghosts. I don't know where they're coming from. I have no idea how to fight a ghost. You know, it's just like it's like this power from somewhere else that's affecting me, and I can't control it, and that shit's scary to me. That's not really what's scary about this movie to me, though. This movie scares me because in a great deal of this movie, absolutely nothing happens.
Yeah.
But to me, that shit's fucking scary. Like the scenes where it's showing the staircase and like you know when the pipes are banging.
Yeah.
Like all this is where it's banging on the pipes and shit. Like you just hear this banging and it just shows this like staircase, and you look at it for what seems like fucking forever. I mean, it's probably like 5 seconds or something, but it seems like you're just staring down the staircase forever, and you feel like something's going to happen, but it never does.
Yeah.
And there's like this movie's full of that, and like just suspenseful shit like that is what really, really scares me.
Yeah.
So that's why this movie's scary to me. And then like the scene where she's telling that story, where they go visit the woman. We'll get to it in the movie, but she's telling the story about the description of that kid coming out of the floor or whatever. That like it's just like I have a huge imagination, so when she tells that story, I can see that in my head. So I think that for me, that's why it's scary, because I make it scarier in my head than it actually is. But anyway, but yeah, I love this movie. I think this movie's scary. I'm looking forward to talking to you about it.
Now, really quick, when it comes to the ghost stuff, like I know a lot of people who like have like ghost, like the ghost movies freak them out and stuff. Ghost stories freak them out. Did you have like anything like growing up that was like, did you have like ghosts in your house or anything kind of like an experience with it?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, so, like a lot of Southern people from my part of the state, like I grew up with, a Southern grandma that told me stories about ghosts and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that stuff's more real to me than it is to you. So like, I can like my grandmother told me stories about, ghosts in the area where we lived and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that did definitely affect me, and I think still continues to affect me about how I think about stuff like that, because it's just something that's always been a part of my life where it wasn't part of your life at all.
Yeah,
so that's completely different.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. Like with a lot of like the ghost fans out there, like if y'all have a different opinion, you could do the comment below on the YouTube. Maybe tell us some of your ghost stories too. That'd be kind of fun. It just, me personally, I don't really have that many ghost stories. Like, I grew up in Miami, which, bro, there's ghosts out there. I mean, they're probably all fucked up on cocaine, probably, or something.
Probably cocaine ghosts.
But I was worried about, like, the violence more, because I remember when I was really young, I had my house broken into, and I had my window shot. Like, I used to have a waterbed, okay? So this is probably, like, this is one of my earliest memories of Florida, when, like, I was kind of getting freaked out about the area. So it was like probably, God, it had to be maybe a year or a couple months before Hurricane Andrew back in 1994. All right, to age myself here. I used to like have like I used to live in Homestead of Miami, and I had this cool like water bed. Remember, their water beds were really big at the time in the 94. Oh, yeah. And I remember coming home one day and our house is all tore up and stuff. Somebody going through all there. They shot up my window. They shot up the water bed. All right, in my room. And it just freaked me out ever since then. So like stuff like that. Like I think at an early age, if you're exposed to like maybe like street violence or like killer violence, that might freak you out. But if you're exposed to maybe more of the ghostly stories of being told about the fires and stuff, that would freak you out. So I think it's just a little different.
Yeah, for sure.
I like how when you grew up on it. But everybody, that's kind of a fun conversation. If you want to comment below, tell us your ghost stories, your violent stories. What freaks you out, or what freaked you out as a kid that still freaks you out nowadays if you see it in the movies? That'd be
exactly.
A good one, so.
Yeah. Tell us if ghosts scary or if we're all full of shit.
You could also email us at
us
at retroblood69@gmail.com. Sorry, everybody, I've been drinking. Got this new fucking bro. I got this new sour. It's fucking great. It's like a blueberry burst sour.
That sounds terrible.
Oh, it's great. I love it. You don't like sours?
I like sours. Okay, I like them if they're very tart. They have to be really sour before I like them.
They have one from this. I'm just gonna say them because fuck it. I mean, if they sponsor us, that'd be fucking awesome. But High Wire has one that's like super stout that I was gonna get. So maybe I'll drink that one next time on the show or next month or something like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I love High Wire beers. If anybody from High Wire listens to us, like, hook us up.
Hook us up, brother. We're down with that. We'll take any kind of free beer. I'll plug it on here.
Yeah, we'll do a live show from the brewery.
Oh, that'd be fucking
just
awesome.
Up the road from us. Yeah, would be that'd be some riveting watching right there.
Especially
us do the show live for sure.
Especially, I'd be like 10 beers deep. I mean, fuck, imagine this would be 10 beers deep in me. All right.
Yeah, it'd be like the Halloween show every night.
I'd have been like, fucking Joseph asked for some fucking help, and fucking that John couldn't do shit. I would have pissed off too, asshole. And like the fucking John didn't even do anything. It's like, oh, I'm gonna here, Carmichael. Here's your necklace of this guy that you might have not known about. Joseph's like, I gotta do everything by myself.
I can't wait to hear you talk about this. This is gonna be great.
So just like every Retro Blood, everybody, we're gonna talk about what was happening in our two favorite things, the world of the pro wrestling and the metal music. Of course, this whole month that we didn't get to talk about it too much this month, but WrestleMania, we just been kind of busy, so. Maybe, Alison, we could talk a little bit about our WrestleMania thoughts, maybe in May. How about we do that? Yeah.
That'd be good, yeah.
So, just because this month has been pretty crazy with traveling and getting our schedules down and watching the wrestling and stuff, the show's kind of like mixed where we don't know the whole weekend yet. So, So we'll just have to play it by here. But this movie, it came out March 28th of 1980. All right.
Yeah.
So
we've been in 1980 a lot.
A lot. Apparently, that's like okay. So this is all your picks, Alison. So apparently,
you're
a big fan of early 80s, which I can't blame you.
No,
there was some good shit there.
Yeah. I've said that many times. I'm a huge fan of early 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
And 1980, 1981 in particular, I think were great years for horror.
Yes, I would say so. Because like we talked about this before many times, but the filmmaking. I felt like the actual filmmaking and the storylines were a lot more serious in the early parts of the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not absolutely. Like, there's still some of your goofy ones, but most of the tones of the movies, the dialogue between the characters was a little bit more serious. We'll see like the more cartoonish ones happen like probably past like 85, 86.
Right. So. And the movies look more gritty too.
Yeah.
Like this looked really gritty, and this movie looked so gritty. Like I love the way this movie looks. Like it looks like you can see the film grain in it. It's beautiful. Like this movie's beautiful.
So speaking of beautiful.
Yes.
We'll talk about what's going on in some of this wrestling right here.
All right.
So this is pretty interesting. I don't think we ever talked about this angle before, but we'll talk about it here. So on this date, March 28th of 1980, in the Jerry Jarrett promotion. Jerry Jarrett, of course, the father of Jeff Jarrett.
Absolutely.
All right. It was at the sports arena in Tupelo, what is it? Tupelo, Missouri?
Mississippi,
my bad.
Yeah.
Tupelo, Mississippi. The promotion does a second Tupelo concession stand brawl. Did you ever hear about the concession stand brawl?
Well, I mean, I've seen a couple of them, but I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
So there's the first one that was held in June of 1979. That one featured the Blonde Bombers, Larry Leatham and Wayne Furness against Ricky and Robert Gibson.
Okay, so the Rock and Roll Express.
Yes. So the concession stand, it's kind of like I'm not. I think it's like a empty arena match in a way, but I'm not exactly sure. So I'm pretty sure like it's the because they did have a. Well, let me just read the rest of this and we'll get on to it.
Sure. Okay.
So the Bombers handcuffed Robert Gibson to the ring ropes, then brawled with Ricky Gibson into the concession stand area. Eventually, Robert Gibson escapes and joins the brawl. This angle would be recognized. This angle would be recreated multiple times over the years, including almost a year and a half later, with Eddie Gilbert and Ricky Morton against Masafuchi and Astana Anoka in September of 1981. So
okay. So are they actually in a concession stand?
yeah, so basically what it is I thought this is something different. I think the one I was thinking about was the Terry Funk empty arena match, which actually is a really good match too. But they're basically saying that this is basically a Falls Count Anywhere match before a Falls Count Anywhere match was like popular. So the first one had Robert Gibson and stuff. They're fighting. They handcuffed one of the Gibsons and they fought the other one in the concession stand. And that became to be kind of like one of the promotions, kind of like known trademark to do. Like once they get to the concession stand area, you know, there was some hell going on. Like because they were using like food, popcorn, all kind of stuff to beat them down. And it was supposed to be like a wild, chaotic scene of that happening.
Right. Okay.
So
I got you.
WCW actually did a concession stand brawl kind of too. I think they did it with the Harlem Heat and the Nasty Boys. Where they're just like falling around everywhere. So, but yeah, some little stuff happening over here. So basically, just did that angle a bunch of times, and on this day, we would see in the Jerry Promotion a concession stand brawl match. So
yeah, and they did one. AEW did one a couple years ago with Jeff Jarrett and Mark Briscoe.
Yes. Wait a minute. Was that no? That's something else different. What's the one they did with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy? That was a fun one. Remember that?
AEW?
Yeah. They did like a promotion for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, and they brought out a little bit in the concession.
I don't remember that. Okay. That sounds hilarious.
But yeah, they've done it. Basically, what we're trying to say here is if for everybody who's like maybe watched wrestling or heard wrestling, a concession stand brawl was basically like your Falls Count Anywhere before Falls Count Anywhere was a thing.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of the earliest hardcore matches, probably.
Yeah, because the wrestlers didn't really fight in the audience. You know, we would see a lot of that in ECW and shit like that. You know what I mean? In the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s.
But in the early 80s, the wrestlers really didn't fight near the audience at all. And this is one of the first times that a promotion had some wrestlers go outside the ring and fight near a concession stand. So that's why it became a very famous angle, because they didn't really see that back in the day.
Right. That's true, because back then there was a very clear line between what the ring's action area is and the audience. And it's still there today, but it's more of a gray area, which is why you see people jumping the rail occasionally. Yeah. And getting the shit beat out of them. But back then you didn't cross the rope, or you didn't cross the guardrail if they had one.
You would get Macho Man beat up.
Yeah. You got the shit beat out of you. And that's why, that's why it's unusual to have something like this to where the audience, could potentially get to the wrestlers, essentially, the talent in the ring. Because before, that just didn't happen at all. Like, you did not cross the barricade at all. You can do anything you want as long as you stay on your side of the barricade. But the wrestler will not cross the barricade, and you won't cross the barricade either.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how that always went for decades.
Yep.
When we used to have rules about shit.
When we used to have rules, brother. All right.
Back in the old days.
Speaking of rules, Allison, what rules are we breaking listening to some metal music?
Well, we're breaking more rules because I don't have metal this week either. I've got music, though. So we've talked about 1980 a lot, and I feel like we've talked about this month a lot.
Probably, yeah.
So it was hard for me to find something that was going on this month that we hadn't talked about before. There was a lot of good music released. Van Halen released Women and Children First the same week this album came out, or this movie came out. But we've talked about that before. We've talked about the tour that ensued from that. So I wanted to talk about quickly and short, and we'll keep this short because we'll probably talk about a lot about this movie. There were 2 albums that came out this month that I want to talk about from bands that we'll probably never get a chance to talk about again. Neither one of them are which are metal. One of them is a punk rock band from England called Stiff Little Fingers.
Oh, okay.
The first 2 Stiff Little Fingers albums are some of my favorite records of all time. 2 of the best punk rock records of all time. I think they're way better than the Sex Pistols or any of these other, most of the other British bands. But basically, their first album was called Inflammable Material, and it came out in 1979. And then in March 16th of 1980, they released their second album, which was called Nobody's Heroes. And I first got into this record because in the 90s, I think at some point, I was at a show at an Agnostic Front show talking to Roger from Agnostic Front. And we were just talking about punk rock, and he'd asked me and we were just talking about stuff, and he suggested that I listen to Stiff Little Fingers the next day because Roger told me to go out and buy it. I went out and bought Stiff Little Fingers, Nobody's Heroes, and that album just blew me away. The first one's good too, but the second one it's like, it's hard to describe what it's like. It's punk rock, but it's not, it sounds like The Clash. You're familiar with The Clash, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what the Clash sounds like. So it's kind of like that, but it's more gritty. They were from Northern Ireland. It's like really gritty. But it has a song, the title track Nobody's Heroes is really good. It also has a song called, what's the other song I like on here? Fly the Flag is really good. At the Edge is really good. And it also has this kind of like reggae crossover. So it's like kind of how the Clash would like play punk rock and then it would play like a reggae song. They kind of do that too. So it's got this like really cool like combination of like reggae and ska and punk rock before that got popular, I guess. And then, the Clash obviously took that to the next level, but Stiff Little Fingers is like a really good, like, kind of underground, I guess you could say, punk rock band from the time that didn't really take off. They're still together though.
Okay.
With the same original singer. They're still together with a couple original members, and they're still playing shows. As far as I know, at least they were a few years ago. But yeah, I just want to talk about that. So if you want to hear really good English punk rock, Stiff Little Fingers, Nobody's Hero.
Now, are they like nice punk rock, or are they like G.G. Allen, I'm gonna shit on you punk rock?
It's kind of between the two. It's not really nice, but it's not, I'm going to shit on you and like, I'm going to shit in my hand and wipe it on your fat face kind of thing either. It's kind of between the two. It's like really like, it's most of their songs are about like working class issues and like, it's like, stuff like that. Like stuff that you would think people who wear Doc Martens would listen to kind of.
Well, I do have a question for you too about, about this band too. Are they hiring somebody who does the piano?
Well, if they do, they need to hire George C. Scott for that because he's really good at the piano.
He's really good, bro.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's so good at the piano that he will sell out a classroom and he could buy a $2 million mansion. No problem.
Did they say it would cost $2 million?
No.
Okay. So
I guess he got a deal.
We'll talk about this when we talk about the movie. But so he's like he's a composer.
Yes.
Right. So he's a composer, and they had hired him to teach a music class at this school. But I mean, he was obviously very famous. Yeah. Remember, he was saying there's like 12 people that signed up for this class, and then the classroom's full or whatever. But yeah, we'll get into that when we talk about the movie. And then the second thing I wanted to mention was on March 28th of 1980, the progressive rock band Genesis released Duke, which is the last good Genesis album, in my opinion. So Genesis, as a lot of people may or may not know, in the 70s, kind of started off with Peter Gabriel was their singer, Phil Collins was the drummer, and they had 5 members, and they played like this really out there kind of prog rock, kind of heavy prog rock type stuff. But then Peter Gabriel left, and they started paring it down, and Phil Collins took over, and then Phil Collins the whole band, and they became like this pop band. Much like Phil's solo material would be. But this is the last, in my opinion, good album that they released. It's called Duke, and you can still, when you hear it, it still has that kind of prog sound, but it kind of is moving more to like the pop hit single type thing. I mean, Phil Collins made them a lot of money, but it kind of took away, everything that was great about them before. But they were a band though that they moved into the 80s really well, right? So we were talking about before earlier in the month how a lot of these 80s bands, 70s bands just couldn't translate into this new wave of the 80s that was coming through. But Genesis was a band that did it really well. So after this album was a huge hit. But after this album, they did that album with Invisible Touch and Land of Confusion and all those big hits. And they were selling out like football stadiums and all kinds of shit all over the world. So they were able to translate from something from the 70s that nobody wanted to listen to anymore into something that was commercial and huge and mainstream for the 80s, but probably lost them a lot of their old fans. Yeah. But I just wanted to mention Duke because it is the last good Genesis album. And rest in peace, Genesis. They would be shit after this. But this album's really good. So if you want to hear a good final prog album, Duke by Genesis is a good album too.
Check it out, everybody.
Yeah.
And by the way, we don't sell out here on the Retro Blood.
We don't sell out at all. Unless you want to sponsor us, and then we do.
Oh, yes. We don't sell out unless you upload a big bunch of cash to us. Yes. That's why you don't see no ads on here yet, brother. All right, we're getting there.
So if Highwire wants to send us a big bunch of cash, we will. Yeah, I'll get a Highwire tattoo right here.
Yeah, exactly.
On my arm.
We're like
do the show like this.
We're like early 1980 punk rock, but we will sell out like 1990 punk rock in a second.
Exactly. We will sell out. So if you want to give us some money and we'll read ads on our show about your beer or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a great one.
We'll do.
Whatever can mix with the 80s, bro. I don't give a shit.
That'd be fantastic.
All right, so let's get into who booked this shit.
Who booked this shit?
Because it's something. So this is and I did not know this. It's a 1980s Canadian supernatural horror film. Even though like all of it was done in Seattle, and I did not see any maple syrup at all.
Was it filmed in Seattle?
I'm not sure if it was.
Filmed in Toronto.
Well, hold on, let me get there. So it was directed by Peter Medak. Did I say that right?
Sure. I guess. I don't have no idea how to say that guy's name.
And of course, starring George C. Scott, who played John, and Trish Van Derver, who played Norman. So the plot follow. Well, hold on, we don't need all that. So let me see where it was filmed at. So that's a good question here. Okay. No, it says, okay, here we go. They answer one of your questions here.
Okay.
While The Changeling is set in Seattle, most of the scenes were filmed in British Columbia cities of Vancouver and Victoria.
Oh, okay.
Which I literally was there a month ago. And I did not see this huge house where this ghostly kid was at. Where was he at? All right.
You didn't look hard enough for it.
That's true.
So I was wrong. It's not Toronto, but it was filmed in Vancouver. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is another one of those Canadian tax shelter movies, which we talked about a couple of years ago when we did a couple in February of 2022, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, so basically, to tell a story again for people who weren't listening to the show then.
Yeah.
Canadian tax shelter movies were Canada is more into taxing rich people than the United States is. So if you made a lot of money in Canada in the 80s and the 70s, you would often give that money to someone to make a movie because it's probably going to lose money and you can write that money off your taxes so that you don't have to pay taxes on it. So essentially, you would lose this money and you would turn it in as a loss and get the money back from the government because you invested in the Canadian film industry and lost your ass on it. And somebody else got to make a movie.
Yeah.
So there's been a bunch of them like that. Then we've talked about a few. But I'm pretty sure this was a Canadian tax shelter movie. And someone donated enough money to them to be able to hire George C. Scott, who was a really famous actor, to be in this movie. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's close. It's close to what you're talking about.
Okay.
Because it does say on here that the film's budget was raised by selling 2,500 shares to 264 investors, who would later make a profit of about 9,000 on their shares.
Okay.
So it's probably like I think it did a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they had investors in the movie, but it also probably. The investors were trying to get a tax break.
Right.
So it's a little bit of both there. So a couple of things about the screenplay. which is interesting. The film's screenplay was inspired by mysterious events that allegedly took place at the Henry Treat Rogers Mansion in Chessman Park, Denver, Colorado. You ever heard of any of that before, Allison?
Yeah, I have actually. I mean, that's a fairly famous haunted house, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So while the playwright Russell Hunter was living there during the 1960s, after experiencing a series of unexplained phenomenon, Hunter said he found a country-old journal in a hidden room detailing the life of a disabled boy who was kept in isolation by his parents. Well, this is like hugely inspired by the.
Yeah.
So
That's
during
exactly like
I was
it.
exactly like it. So during a sentence, he claimed the spirit of a deceased boy directed him to another house where he discovered human remains and a gold medallion bearing the boy. This is like the full movie. Okay,
That's actually what the
hell?
movie what happens in the movie. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so he discovers the medallion bearing the boy's name. Henry Treat Rogers, a wealthy Denver attorney outlaw, was childless, but prior inhabitations of the house remain undocumented. The mansion,
So they don't know who lived there.
yeah, they don't know. They don't know who lived here. So obviously it wasn't his because he didn't have no child to bury. The mansion was demolished during the 1980s and replaced with a high-rise apartment building.
I bet that place is haunted as fuck.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
With remains of that dead kid underneath it.
I wonder if it's also a secret Indian burial ground.
Well, if you have those two things together, definitely trouble.
You know what? I bet you this apartment complex is the same apartment complex that was in Demons 2.
Yeah, I mean it could be.
That's how
Very
they're all
well
linked.
could be because that's how they're linked.
Yes.
And then if your cat dies, you can just go bury it under this apartment building. And it comes back to life.
So also, I
Just
got
like
a question for you. When it comes to inspired by or ripped off, like which one is this? Because this is like
no. So this is not you don't. This is a story that actually happened to him, right?
Yeah.
So that's not ripping off. Ripping off would be like
naming it all different.
Yeah, right. Or if he saw like a movie or something that had this happened in and he just created on his own. I mean, this is just based on an experience that he supposedly experienced. So he's essentially saying that what happened in this movie happened to him, basically. But yeah, I don't know. Scary.
So there was a couple drama going on with this movie. We like our movie drama here and there. My favorite movie drama so far was Friday the 13th Part 5. Everybody check that out in the archives. That is some great movie drama.
Yeah, that's a good show and a good movie.
Yes. So Peter Medak, hopefully I'm saying his last name right, but if I'm not, that's the gimmick I do on here. He actually was the third director hired for this project. All right, his predecessors, Donald Cammell and Tony Richardson, both were due to creative differences. What would be so? Maybe he's all like, well, maybe John and maybe Norman, maybe they should have fucked on camera. All right, that's what we wanted, brother.
I don't really know how this could be a lot different, but anyway, it is what it is.
So
I guess.
Medak was hired with only a month to basically do the script, all right, and rewrites and set construction and everything. So we got to do this shit quick. All right. A couple other things too. Let's see. So apparently, and we talk about this certain reward places a while. So apparently, the Changeling won a award.
All right? It won a Genie Award.
Yeah, it was the first ever Genie Award for Best Canadian Film. It also won the following Genie Awards: Best Foreign Actor, George C. Scott; Best Foreign Actress, Tris Van Diver; Best Screenplay; Best Art Design; Best Cinematography; Best Sound; Best Sound Editing. So pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all makes sense. I mean, this movie's great, in my opinion. We'll see if you ended up liking it too, but yeah.
Well, I like parts of it, so
okay.
I would say so.
Too many old people.
There was a lot of old people. Well, there was only one old guy, and he wasn't that crazy. I like my crazy old guys. So we read a little bit more about this stuff. So apparently there was a planned remake. like there always is on every movie ever. In 2018, a remake was set up at the international sales company Cornerstone Films and German production company X Film. That's what it's called.
Yes.
X Film.
X Film.
X Film.
X Film with an E. Chris, don't remake this.
Now, is this going to be like a German porn? What the hell was this going to be?
They might as well. This would have been like, if they remade this, it'd be full of jump scares and a bunch of bullshit, CGI ghosts and all kinds of shit in it.
I mean, obviously, if they remade this, it'd just be the fucking Conjuring movie.
Right. It would just be like, it'd be exactly like the Conjuring.
I mean,
duh.
I mean, that's all they do in ghost movies nowadays is just a Conjuring. They don't do shit like this no more.
No, because people wouldn't sit through this now. They don't have the attention span.
Yeah, I know. All right, we can't nowadays. We can't have our boy Russell on here playing his piano. All right, all the time. All right, so we got Mark. So they're trying to get Joel B. Michaels returning to produce. Mark Steven Johnson, who was attached as a writer and director, and the setting would be relocated to Venice, Italy. Well, it would have been an Italian film, so they might have been okay with it.
Maybe. Mark Steven Johnson was the guy who directed Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah, I would have done it.
So, yeah.
So we had 2 years.
He also directed the Ben Affleck Daredevil, but I'm just saying.
Well, there you go. So 2 years later, Anderson replaced Johnson, and the setting was changed to Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Check this Ireland name out. Tad Murphy was brought on as a name. Do you think this one? You think if this movie was made in Ireland, do you think our boy John Russell would have been a Irish drunk?
Hey, they would have spent a lot of time down at the pub, that's for sure.
Maybe instead of being a piano guy, he played like the what do they do in Ireland? Like the flute? Maybe he'd be a flute guy.
Maybe, yeah.
So Tad Murphy was brought on, the screenwriter who claimed that the film would be more of a reimagining than a remake. Oh, that good old reimagining. We love that.
So it's a completely different kind of movie with the same name.
So he promised a 3-page outline to Michaels, who had previously worked with on the last of the Dogmen.
Okay.
And came back with 33 pages instead. Cornerstone also shopped the film to the, I can't even say this name, that year. Mr. Flim.
Mr. Flim.
Mr. Flim. So it looks like they just couldn't get everything gone. Like, looks like this guy, Tab Murphy, they had a screenwrite for it, 33 pages and stuff. But they probably took a look at it and is like, you know what? Why don't we just make this some Irish beater-up film and we'll call it even. All right?
Yeah. Maybe thought we don't need to remake this movie that was perfect to start with, so let's just
that never happens though.
No, that never happens.
Let's see what else we got going on for the Changeling over here. You know, there's a lot about this film that was pretty fun on here. Let's see if we can get some behind the scenes notes on here. So the house scene in the movie in real life doesn't and never actually did exist. Damn it.
So that's why you couldn't find it.
That's why I couldn't find it. The filmmakers could not find a suitable mansion to use for the film, so at a cost of around $200,000, the production had Victoria Gothic mansion fake-headed attached to the front of a much more modern dwelling in Vancouver Street. So the construction was used for the filming of all the interiors of the movie's mansion. The interiors of the haunted house were an elaborate group of interconnecting sets built inside a film studio in Vancouver. So basically what they're saying is they built like the outside of it. They kind of like did that model outside of it. They kind of filmed it in a way so you can get good shots. And then all the inside rooms that they did, they all built those in production studios. So, damn it. That was a cool mansion though. Oh, I did have a question for you, Alison.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure if they're bringing this up during the actual review part or now, but I'll just bring it up now since I already asked you this question. So I was just thinking, like, you know, John, the Russell guy, he gets the mansion, right? And he invested in it and everything. And I was thinking, like, why does one old guy need a mansion? And then I was thinking, like, the only people that are, like, cool, that have, like, their own mansion to live by themselves, is I can only think of 3 of them. Okay.
Batman.
Batman's one of them.
Yeah.
Dracula.
Dracula. Yeah.
All right. And Victor Frankenstein. Did he have a mansion too?
Yeah, I think he did have.
Because he had the underground thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So everybody but the thing is, John wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't fighting crime. He wasn't sucking blood, and he wasn't raising people back to life. So why the fuck does he need a huge mansion? Well, I guess kind of. But why does he need a mansion?
I think that's a kind of a humorous part of the. Well, okay, so I have a theory as to why. I always thought this was a humorous part of this movie. It's like he lives by himself, but he wants this gigantic house that he could not possibly have time to take care of.
Exactly.
And he's only going to live in like 2 rooms of. But yeah, I mean, I think that he just wanted it because it was cool. That's what I have a feeling. Like, he's like he just wanted a big house that he could stay in by himself. And work on his music. It is funny that it also happens to have a grand piano in it, which he needs. He doesn't move his own piano in it; it's already there when he moves in, which I thought was funny.
Yeah. Well, remember they're going to turn into a mansion. Remember that,
right?
So a couple of things I thought was funny too. So director Peter said he was initially intimidated by one actor, George C. Scott.
No, I can imagine that for sure.
And he thought he was going to be difficult to work with. But the only trouble that he had with him on set was Scott was he was playing chess with a production manager. Or no, he was playing chess and a production manager accidentally knocked over the chessboard and Scott he was playing and stuff and he was angry.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, I totally understand that.
And then Scott, apparently Scott was playing against himself, and he was doing it for like 2 weeks, and he was pissed off. Yeah.
So he was playing a game of chess against himself.
Yeah. So basically, he was playing a game against himself. This production manager comes in, knocks it off, and he's all like, "What the fuck? First, you idiots didn't give me green M&Ms. Now you knock over my chessboard."
So he'd been playing this game against himself.
Don't you know who I beat?
2 weeks. For 2 weeks. Wow.
Let's see.
Okay.
So George, who did this guy ever beat? All right.
Man, George C. Scott, he's an incredibly famous actor. He was in Patton.
Oh yeah, Patton. That's a good movie.
He was in Christmas Carol, or he would be later on in the same decade. Was a great movie. He's in Doctor Strangelove.
Oh, okay. There
he
you go.
is in what other movies is he in?
Probably a shit ton.
I mean, he has made a bunch of movies for sure. He played the bad guy in Firestarter. He's in Exorcist 3. That's another movie I could think of off the top of my head.
Which we might be.
Yeah, might. But he's in a bunch of good movies. He's one of my favorite actors, so I think he's great. He's great in this. He's great in everything he does. But yeah, he always seems angry. In everything that he does, he's screaming all the time. I feel like he's yelling.
I like this quote though. Like, so I was looking up some about him, and they're like, "Why did George C. Scott refuse an Oscar?" And he said, "This is what Google told me." It said Scott didn't like the idea of being in competition with fellow actors, but what's more, he had little regard for movies, which he felt were beneath the craft of acting in plays. "Oh, Caesar, come with me. My Caesar, come down, because I am acting in a theater play. I'm projecting my voice." He liked the true art form of acting there, Alison, unlike you little scum who like your little movies. All right.
So he turned that out. So he was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, and he won once, and I guess he turned it down. So I did not know that. So that's interesting. But yeah. Because he's more into theater than he is into movies. Movies were what paid his bills, though.
Yep. Yeah, I'm seeing what's on here. Damn it. The Exorcist 3 one. Like, I know it's in the 90s, but that's film is crazy. Because wasn't that like the film that wasn't that the what's his name was trying to they showed up as victims? Oh God. I just forgot his name right here. Shit. Can't remember his name. They did the Netflix special about him. He just named totally.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he was showing that to his
Yeah, the
victims.
movie that Jeffrey Dahmer is showing his victims was supposedly Exorcist 3.
Oh, okay.
With our boy.
I mean, I love Have you ever seen it, Exorcist 3?
No, I don't believe I have, but I have been recommended from my brother to watch it. So
okay, it's really Exorcist 2. It's a direct sequel to The Exorcist.
Yeah. So.
Based on a book. There was a book for it, but yeah.
So
maybe we'll find a way to do it on the show.
Yeah, well, lights out. We'll figure it all out. So George C. Scott learned how to play the pieces of a classical music that he plays on the piano for the college students. So, he did that for real. They didn't like dub that shit in, which is cool.
Wow.
Let's see what else we got here. There's a lot about this movie. So, so apparently Trish Von Devers and George C. Scott were married to each other in real life, which I had no idea. Publicity for this picture stated that they had worked together 7 times in their 8 years of marriage. They have been together in 6 movies, 1 for television and 1 stage play. So very interesting. Let's see. So this is interesting too. In a feature for the DVD release of the 1996 horror film Scream, actress Neve Campbell named The Changeling as the scariest film she has ever seen.
The movie's terrifying. It scared the shit out of me. Martin Scorsese also says it's one of the scariest movies he's ever seen as well.
So that's really interesting. Let's see. So apparently, the same year that this came out, co-star Trish was the main star in another haunted house movie, The Hearse. So there you go. So there's a lot of cool little things about this thing. So the last one, the name of the historic group was the Seattle Historic Preservation Society. The name of the campus where Dr. John Russell taught music with the University of Seattle through the interiors were filmed at the University of Toronto in Toronto, Canada. So, kind of cool stuff over here. Let's see what we got.
This movie also had Melvin Douglas, who was in Ghost Story as well from earlier in the month.
Oh, there you go. He's back.
Yeah, he played an old man in both of these movies.
So there was an episode of Star Trek, 1966, called The Changeling. All right. John Colosse appeared in this film and also has the Kingpin in Star Trek, Earned of Mercy. So there was an episode of Star Trek, in 1996 called The Changeling.
Yeah.
And there's also a
Well, what does it have to do with the movie though?
Well, I'm trying to see this one. There was an episode. Maybe they're just saying that there just was a episode of Star Trek. That was an interesting one. Okay, let me see what else we got here. Yeah, that seems to be everything that's pretty good about here. Okay, so last thing we'll end on, then we'll get to the review, is in the film, John and Claire bond over a riding excursion. In real life, Trish was an avid okay, so in the movie, they both bonded over horse riding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in real life, George C. Scott was terrified of riding, and he was actually replaced with a body double at the time.
Oh, so he didn't actually ride the horse.
Yes. So very, very interesting. But Trish, she was like an avid rider of horses. So cool little stuff. You know what I mean? Of what's going on in the film. I did not realize that both George C. Scott and Trish were actually dating in real life, because they didn't like kiss or do anything on the film and stuff like that. So
no, they weren't really even together in the movie. They were just in the movie together.
Yeah. But everybody, I say we get this story going of some ghost kids haunting, let's get into the Changeling.
Let's do it.
Within this old house live 2 residents. One of them is John Russell, composer, professor. The other has been dead for over 70 years.
Claire, I'd like to talk to you about the house.
Did you die in this house? How did you die?
Whatever it is, it's trying desperately to communicate. What is it in that house, Claire? What is it doing? Why is it trying to reach me?
It's a hand.
Senator, I'm John Russell. I'm living in your house. Senator, look, I want to show him that. You've got something of the senator's. He wants it back.
John?
What is it you want? What do you want from me?
Many films will frighten you, but only a few can really terrify you. The Changeling, an experience beyond total fear.
All right, everybody. So we start off with a family getting stuck in the snow.
Oh yeah.
That damn Seattle weather. That like looks like Canadian snow.
Well, yeah. So they're not this scene. They're not in. They're like in upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
Because he's from New
That's
York,
right. That's
and
right.
he goes to Seattle to get away from what's about to happen. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Continue on. They're in upstate New York when this is happening.
Well, does New York have crazy snow like this?
Yep.
Yeah. So they get stuck in it. John, our main guy is John Russell, played by George C. Scott. He goes to the phone to call a tow truck, and then a car smacks, or a truck smashes into his family, basically. And we find out that they passed away. And he had a wife and a daughter, I believe. All right.
Yep. Things that cell phones have changed. Now we would just get off the road and call from our cell phone instead of trying to push our car in the snow.
Exactly. So now he's at the apartment that he was staying in upstate New York. He's looking it all over. It's all empty now. I guess he sold it off, and I guess he donated some of his stuff to somewhere else. And now he's about to go to Seattle. And the reason it's March 4th. That's what it says on him. And he's in Seattle. And he's in Seattle to kind of keep his life moving, because he's meeting up with his friend Robert. And his friend Robert basically offered him a job to play the piano, to teach kids how to play the piano at the school.
Yeah. Kind of. I think he's doing like a music class.
Well, no, he was also doing, because he was also taking a couple students under his wing too, because we show some scenes later.
Oh, that's
of him,
true. Yeah, we
playing.
did see that. Yeah.
So he's kind of like basically being a composer, but he's taking a group of students under his wing. I think he said he has about like 23 students he's taken under his wing. Okay. So they offer for him to stay there. It's like, I can't stay here. You know what I mean? I can't bother y'all.
I've got to have a giant Batman mansion.
He's like, I gotta have a giant mansion. You guys are too small. You only have like one room. I need about 10. Okay. So they're like, oh yeah, we know. So the wife knew a girl named Norma. Hold on one second. Her name is Nora.
Nora,
Alright.
yeah.
And she's basically kind of like, she works at this society,
The
Seattle,
historical society.
yeah, historical society place. But she knows a bunch of old houses. They have to be old houses. They can't be new houses. They got to be old houses around here.
No, yeah.
And it's Clara. That's her first name. Clara Norma.
Clara Norman, yeah.
And so he's like, okay, let me meet her. So the first house she brings him to is this ginormous mansion that looks like Dracula or Batman are going to be living there. And John was just like, brother, how much is it?
I'll take it.
All right. So basically she explains to him, and see if you heard this one before. Okay. Which, at the time, maybe in the 80s, this didn't really happen, but I could tell right away what was happening. She's like, okay, well, so we were going to turn this big ass mansion into some sort of museum, but I thought this is what Norma was saying. She's like, I thought me personally, somebody should live here, even though nobody's lived here for like 12 years, but somebody should live here. And I'm thinking, bitch, who's gonna live here? The Addams family? Like, what the hell is going on here?
Man, that house was cool. Like, I would live in a mansion like that.
By yourself?
I would totally, yeah, hell yeah. I would totally Addams family that shit out. That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
So now she's showing them like, hey, look at all this old shit that we were gonna show in a museum. You can all have this with the house. And our boy John's like, he's all like dapper. He's like, yeah, bitch, I'm rich. You know what I mean?
Rich.
Like, I play the piano. All right, I should get this house, no problem. And then she's like, my favorite part is like, well, this is the music room, and he's all like, let's talk the contract.
But yeah, she's basically renting it to him because for some reason she wants somebody to live there.
Yeah,
and she's renting it to him because they can't get anybody else to rent it. Nobody's lived there for 12 years. So I think they've owned it. The Historical Society owns it, but they're trying to get some money back out of it. I guess.
Yeah, I guess they didn't want to turn it into a museum
for some reason,
which is strange.
And she would think somebody should live there.
Yeah, like to be honest, it's a little strange. Maybe I'm not getting something here, but when we find out what the mansion means and everything, like our boy Carmichael probably should have turned it into a museum.
Yes.
But, who knows? Well, maybe not, though, because I think I know why. I'll say my theory here in a little bit. All right, so now he basically is moving in. John is. Mm-hmm. So he gets all the house payments and stuff. He's in the house. He's playing the piano in there. He gets a delivery by the water storage guy. All right, and then now the piano starts playing on its own. Uh-oh. Was that the part that freaked you out when the piano played on its own? I had like one key.
Wait a minute. Yeah, so that scared me the first time I saw it. I thought that was fucking scary. Like, because he's playing the little part and then the key is dead.
Yeah.
Like it won't make the noise because he has a hammer broken.
Yeah.
Or that's what he thinks. And then because it's usually what the case is. That's my piano has a hammer broken. But anyway, so you hit the key, it doesn't make any sound, and then he gets up and walks away, and then it just makes that one loud note for the key that wouldn't work. That little. I think it's just fucking terrifying.
I have a question for you. If you don't have a haunted piano, do you actually even have a piano?
No, it has to be haunted.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It has to be haunted. One thing I wanted to mention too, and I forgot to mention, and the Who booked this shit. The soundtrack to this movie is fantastic.
Yes.
And I like the soundtrack so much that I have it on vinyl.
Oh shit! I didn't know you that.
There's my copy of the Changeling soundtrack.
Yeah, that did won the Canadian. Yeah. That did won the Canadian award that we did talk about. So that did win an actual award. So
the Ken Wanberg and Rick Wilkins soundtrack. This is a fantastic soundtrack. I can see it.
That's a cool little treasure right there. Not a lot of people probably have that.
I know. Well, yeah,
pretty cool. All right, so now, just like you showed off stuff, our boy John Russell is showing off his piano skills in front of a packed house, brother. There's a lot
of people there.
They were hanging from the rafters. And he walks in bigwigging everybody. Oh, I thought I only had 23 students, but I see a lot of people were bored.
Yeah, so it's almost like I think this would have made more sense.
Yeah.
If it had been someone who was like a pop artist or something, for all these people to show up, but he's like an old composer, and I don't know, maybe these people are like really into like classical music or something.
Apparently,
but
the College of Seattle loves classical music.
I guess they do. I guess they do. So there's a shit ton of people in there.
And he's all like, I know what song
There's a shit ton in there.
He was all like, I know what song you'll want to hear. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on here. Okay.
He does say that. I think it's kind of funny where he's like, and y'all may have heard this one, and he plays this piece, which I guess they're supposed to have heard, but
so now
obviously was written for the movie.
So now John, keeping to his gimmick, after playing with a packed house of college students, he goes to a classical music show himself.
He does.
He meets a bunch of old people. They say old people rich things that I don't understand. Then he runs into Norman. Yeah. Clara Norman.
Claire Norman. Yeah.
Runs into her. She introduced her mom to him. Okay, which is random. They ask how he's like in the house, and then she goes on saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring some more old shit from your house, like some more artifacts that go into your old ass house." Okay? It's like, all right. Just imagine that. Like, is that what happens? Also, when you buy a museum, you just like, hey, by the way, we had some old shit laying around. We're gonna bring it to your house because it belongs to you now.
Because we don't have anywhere else to put it, so we're gonna put it in your giant ass mansion that you don't need.
Why the fuck did he need that mansion? I still don't understand.
It is cool. I mean, it looks straight up like the Addams Family house. It's fucking cool.
I guarantee you in the remake, he'll at least bring. I guarantee you in the remake, especially if it was made in Ireland or Scotland, he'll at least bring home some strippers and beer.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't do any of that.
Nope.
Godly. All right, so now, and did we get? They hinted it, but you could tell this Norman girl was kind of smitten with them a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
for sure.
All right, so now John's back at the house. All right, he hears the first round of noises at nighttime. So if y'all want to drink like me, once you hear me saying John hears noises, take a little sip.
Because that does happen a lot. For sure.
He's hearing some noise. And this is the noises that apparently freaked you out with the pipes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this shit's scary to me. Like all this weird, crazy noises and shit that you don't see anything happening. It's scary.
So now John's playing piano. You could drink to that one too if you want to, because that's a bunch of those. The door randomly opens. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. John looking, there's nobody there. And then he asks his handyman, hey, is anybody else here? It's like, nope, he's here by himself. So he's like, okay, that's a little weird. So now we have Norman. She's coming over and bringing over some old stuff, like pictures and shit like that. She said she tried to call, but I don't think the number was set up yet. And then she sees John's daughter's ball. All right. And, John's like, hey, that's my daughter's ball and everything and this old thing. And then they are like, hey, you like horse riding shit? Yeah, let's go. They didn't say horse ride. They said, hey, let's ride. I'm like, ride? What the fuck does that mean?
And then because that's what rich people do. Like,
I know, that's what I was going to say.
That means let's go ride horses, because that's what rich people do. They ride horses.
This is like 1980s like rich people movie. You know what I mean? Like,
it is. It is a 1980s rich people movie for sure.
We got an old guy buying a mansion for shit he doesn't need, just for clout.
Yep.
We got some older lady who works at society trying to find herself an old man. All right? And then we just add a little ghost. Got a little movie here. Mm-hmm. So they're riding on the horses and everything. And now John stops and stuff. He's like, my daughter loved horses. So now it gets all sad. And then we see him crying in the bed because obviously this trauma is still there. He only cries for his daughter. I guess he didn't really give a shit about his wife. So he's hearing some noises. Again. Hold on, everybody.
More noises. Drink.
Yeah, buddy. So I like this part. His handyman comes in, right? Mm-hmm. He's all like, oh, it's probably just your furnace. He's like, John's like, well, why would the furnace go off like at 6:30 every day and stuff? And the guy's like, I don't know, man. It's an old fucking houses. They make noise. I was like, that's my dude.
That's my dude. But it does, it does. So he hears this banging every morning at like 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He
he's
doesn't know
like-
where it's coming from.
And the guy's like, his excuse was, you got an old shit around your house. What do you expect?
Yep. Exactly.
All right, so did you see this scene where they were like practicing music?
Yes.
Did
I
you see
did
how,
see
did
that
you see
scene,
how
yes.
intense their face were?
Yeah. Well, music's an intense thing, man.
I mean, fuck, bro. They look like they're gonna fight somebody playing that music.
Yeah.
So John is practicing with the kids because, you know, maybe he's a composer and everything. And he says, okay, we weren't really in tune that much, but you all did great, except for you. You kind of sucked a little bit. I was like, okay. So the kids leave, and then guess what? John hears some noises.
Yeah.
I should have got
Let's
more beer.
drink again. I'm going to run out of water.
Fuck, I should have brought more beer up here. Golly. So now we hear water noise. Okay, water noise. Okay. All right. Then he goes all the way upstairs and he sees a figure of a boy in a tub, and he gets a little freaked out.
Drowning. Yeah.
So now we go back to the historic society. He meets Norman. He says like, "Hey, when y'all like taking care of this house for like 12 years, do you ever see like some dead boy in the tub?" He didn't ask that, but that would have been me asking that if that happened to me. Okay? He just said if there's strange stuff happening around the house. Okay?
Right. And she's like what?
And she's like, no. Well, basically, Norman's excuse was good. She's like, no, like ever since I've been working here, the shit's been empty. So I don't know anything about the house, really. And then, of course, we always have one in 1980s horror movies. We have one old lady saying, you don't want to be in that house. That house is haunted. You saw that dead thing in there? That's because it doesn't want you in there. And then, to be honest with you, John had like the best response. After this old lady was like tormenting him and shit about the house, John was like, so it is haunted. It's like,
But yeah,
right.
you're right. There is always one person in all these 80s movies that knows everything that's going on, but then nobody listens to them.
Yeah. So, yeah, the old lady was saying, she also told John, like, I know you didn't use the proper channels to get the house. So apparently John and Norman, they did some scheming to get that house in his name. All right. And she's all like, the house doesn't want you there. All right. So now John goes back. Window breaks. He's confused a little bit. John looks around his house. John finds a hidden door. He hammers the door. And guess what? He hears more noises.
More noises. Drink.
There we go. Boy, if we're doing shots, we'd be fucked already.
We'd be fucked up already.
We might have to do that one
2-part episode.
If we do that on the Halloween episode, I'll do the shots on the Halloween episode. Maybe 10.
On Halloween, yeah, I'll do tequila. We'll have tequila for the Halloween episode.
So he gets the door locked and stuff. So he goes into this old room with spider webs everywhere. And he finds, by the way, I put it in my notes, he looks around an old room with loud music. Because, you know, they did that back in the day. You look around the room, you play the loud music.
Sure.
So he reads an old book, all right, from the 1900s. Then he sees an old music box. And he examines the music box. All right. And he brings the music box to I don't know if it was Norman, but it was somebody who knows about music. And he was all like, I've heard that tune before, but like I can't place it or anything. So they're trying to examine the tune of the music box. All right.
Well, wait a minute. Is that the part where or is it later on in the movie where, so the piece of music that he's writing is the piece of the music from the music box?
Yes, that is, yes.
Is that here or is that a little bit later in the movie?
No, that's here. Yeah,
Okay.
that's when he realizes this music box. Yes, you're right. This music box is the music that he's been playing, and then John's trying to think in his head like, I don't remember hearing this tune that I created like anywhere else, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, she says that if it was on a music box, then it must have been a famous song, and he may have heard it and not realized it. Is what she's thinking.
Yeah. So now, basically, John wants to find some files on the house from around the 1920s. All right, and so far, like him and Norman, they can't find anything. Okay. And then Norman is telling, basically, no, John is telling Norman, like, hey, ever since I've been to this house, the house was basically designing me to find this music box and go to this room. So I want to find out what's going on over here. They also said he also showed her the room too. And they said, like, the room is basically from the 1909. There's a child's book that's in here. And they see a tiny wheelchair in the room as well too.
Which is fucking scary.
That little wheelchair?
That old little wheelchair, that shit's fucking scary. I don't know why. It's just terrifying to me. Like that little old wheelchair is scary.
That must have been like the big thing that scared everybody was that wheelchair.
I guess so.
I guess so, yeah. So now they're doing research on the house. They can't find anything at the society under the 20s. But that weird lady from earlier says there was a guy who lived there around 1909 named Dr. Bernard. And they had a son and a daughter, and there was an accident that happened. So look at this.
So I was going to stop you. So one thing about this too that I thought was cool is so the lady actually doesn't know what's going on. She is wrong.
Yeah.
The lady that tells him that the house doesn't want him there and all that, she is completely wrong. And it sends them on. Well, we're about to talk about it, but it sends them on this investigation that's wrong, which I thought was cool because in most of those movies, it would have just been like, oh, I'm figured it out. This is the mystery, blah, blah, blah. But he's like on the wrong path for a long time. And then the ghost like helps him set him right. But anyway, continue. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So they're looking at old newspapers of an accident that happened at the Chester Park, which is where the house is located at. Basically what happened was this, the daughter of Bernard, Cora Bernard, she was 7 years old and she was basically in an accident by a coal cart. Like basically ran her over.
Yeah.
And she was in the hospital for a week, but then she eventually came to her injuries and died. All right. So then they go out to the cemetery and that they see that the family was there. So this is basically what you're talking about, John. You're like, oh, okay, that's the mystery solved. Like, you know, there's just a family and the tragedy happened. All right.
Yeah. And he thinks that the ghost in his house is the little girl, but it's not.
Yes, exactly. So now Norman says, you must get out of that house. And of course, John stays in the house. He don't give a fuck.
Of course. No.
He's like, I paid good top dollar for this, brother. All right. I need all those 11 rooms to look at. All right. So now John sees the ball drop. All right. Which is his daughter's ball. Comes down like the staircase. He takes the ball.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Throws it off the bridge. Comes back to his house and the ball drops again.
So to me, that shit was fucking scary too.
Yeah.
Like when the ball rolls slowly down the steps and then he takes it, he drives away from the house, takes it to the bridge and throws it off. And then when he walks through the door, it's wet and it rolls down the steps again.
Yeah.
That shit's fucking scary.
That was a good scene. I like that. You know, especially for the time period, that would be a really creepy scene to do because that wasn't really done that much. All right. So now, okay. So now, after all that happens, guess what? John
he hears noises.
He hears more noises, brother. All right.
Drink.
Okay. I almost ran out. I don't know if I can drink anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So after he does that, the next morning, John goes to a psychic research. And Alison, do you know how we all knew that he went to a psychic research?
How?
Because when him and the doctor were talking, in huge bold letters in front of him, it said psychic research.
Psychic research. I thought that was hilarious. I guess maybe they did shit like that, but I don't know.
But it was hilarious.
But yeah, there's this giant sign that says and they psychic research.
And they just so happened to be standing under it, having their conversation.
Yeah, when they talk about it, of course. What else would you do?
So now this doctor's like, listen, what's happening with you? We do this research too. It's called spiritual and stuff. Now about 98% of the time, all of it's phony.
Yeah.
But the 1%.
That 1%.
That's what you need. So basically, this doctor is sending him over some mediums. that are true mediums, not the fake ones that he's researched before. These ones have gone through rigorous testing to be true mediums.
So, right.
Now, was this supposed to be Lorraine? What were they called? The people from the Conjuring?
Warrens?
The Warrens.
Yeah. No, well, so she kind of. So Lorraine, I think she claimed to be sensitive to spirits, and they were just like investigators. So these people are basically psychics, I guess you could say, and they're going to have a seance to contact this little girl, or so they think.
Yeah. So they go to John's house. They start doing some ghost testing, some seance stuff. I just put in my notes, the ghost lady feels something upstairs. She goes she tries to go to the creepy room. She doesn't.
Yeah.
All right. And then she starts making some weird, I like my notes here. I'm kind of an asshole when it comes to these ghost movies. I put in my notes, the ghost lady is making weird ghost lady testing faces. All right.
Is this are you talking about the scene where they're sitting at the table and she's doing the automatic writing?
Yeah, the writing, and she's like,
yes.
Yes.
That's like a hallmark of these ghost movies, man. You got to have like some lady who like makes weird faces while she's like psychically connecting with the ghosts and the spirits and shit. That's a mandatory thing you got to have.
All right. So basically, they start doing the seance stuff.
Right.
She's asking, like, you know, who's the presence around this house? Is it a child and stuff? You know, we're here to help. We know you can't rest. Are you here with us? Can you talk to us? Who do you want to talk to? What's his name? Are you Cora? And this is the first time we hear no. All right. And that's when she writes no on her paper, basically.
Right.
What's your name? And then she writes Joseph. So Joseph is our ghost over here.
Does she write Joseph?
Yeah, she writes Joseph, yeah. Because she writes Joseph, and then the guy says, it's Joseph. Like her husband. The husband is just like the translator to her ghost cycling.
Well, he's like reading what's on the paper, I guess.
Yes. He's a translator to the ghost cycling. Okay,
that's true. Like he just looks at the paper and says, yes, and then sets it down. Joseph, and then sets it down. Yeah.
And then it's like, how did he die? All right. These all come up a little later, too. She wants to talk to, do you want to talk to John? And then it was just help. All right. So they try again. Because, if it doesn't work, brother, and this is almost a 2-hour movie. So if it doesn't work, we got some time.
We got time.
Okay?
It's an hour and 46 minutes.
So they try again, right?
They do.
And they ask, who do you want to speak to John? All right. Why or why not? All right. What do you want from John? She asks, like, what's the, why are you remaining in this house? Stuff like that. And while this is happening, there's like some sort of like tube thing moving around. And I guess it pisses the ghost off, so he shatters the glass. Everybody freaks out.
Yeah. So
now John's at the house still. He lights a cigarette because he's all like, you know what? I could get this room smoking. I got about 10 more. I don't give a fuck. He lights a little cigarette in his house alone. He starts playing the tape back because they recorded the whole session. And John hears the ghost of Joseph's voice on the tape. So our boy John over here is now a professional ghost hunter.
Yeah. So he plays it back and he hears the ghost speaking on the tape.
I don't see you being a ghost hunter like our boy John over here is.
Funny that you had mentioned that, because I've done my fair share of that in my life.
Yes.
I didn't bring that up when we talked about the ghost stuff, but yeah, I used to be involved in like a ghost investigation group, which was pretty boring. There was a lot of just sitting around doing absolutely nothing. But yeah, nothing is as exciting as this.
Not a cool ghost like Joseph.
No cool kid ghosts or anything like that.
So now when John's hearing the tape, he can hear Joseph answering the questions basically through his ghost voice. What would your ghost voice sound like there, Alison?
Hey brother, my ghost.
I want mine to be like the grumpy old guy. Hey, get off my lawn, asshole. All right.
Yeah.
So basically, Joseph is basically saying his name is Joseph, and when it gets to the part of who killed you, he was like, Father, Father, Father. All right. And then while this is happening, I wrote my notes. We get the Evil Dead camera going throughout the house.
Oh yeah. The Evil Dead camera.
So now we see a flashback of Joseph's father, Bernard, drowning his kid in a tub, which I would assume when you're watching this movie as a youngster, that would probably freak me out. So this part right here would freak me out the most of this movie. All right. So that is, if we talk about it, that is a very frightening thing, and for this movie, or probably why it freaked so many people out. The father's killing his son, and the son's coming back for ghostly revenge, kind of. All right. So now John looks like incredibly freaked out because I guess he got spirited the image of the father killing the son. And he goes to call Norma, but he passes out. Okay? And then we can hear Joseph's voice again saying he's not going to be at rest because of his father killing him. So now Norma comes in. She's crying because she heard the whole story. And then they bring up, too, that the society knew about this orphanage because they found something about an orphanage in the kid's room. All right? And basically, John's bringing up like, this kid was murdered, like, from his father and everything. This is a pretty crazy revelation to have. Norma can't handle it, and now she can see that the chair is moving, the wheelchair. So she's a little freaked out.
Yep.
So this is when we didn't bring him up earlier, but I forgot to bring this up earlier. So we have a Republican known as Carmichael, okay, who I guess is the Republican mayor or something for Seattle at the time. All right. And we see him back again, and he is going up to his Spencer Tower, okay? And then he gets a call from that old lady from the society, the one who was telling John to get out and stuff like that. She calls Carmichael up saying like, hey, they've been digging through. This kind of reminds me of the X-Files. They've been digging through files. All right. And John's like,
so she actually does know what's happening. She's just trying to get him to not find it out, figure it out.
So what I'm guessing is, this is my guess. So, because we'll find out Carmichael's linked to all this stuff. We'll find out soon. But basically, the lady that was telling John to get out the house or whatever, she was probably the one that didn't want to sell the house to keep his secrets. And, that's probably why the house is on ice for so long. Until this new girl came in and fucked it all up.
Right.
All right. And of course, Carmichael's looking a little worried because he knows what this means.
The thing that I can't figure out though is why doesn't Carmichael's rich, right?
Well, I mean, he's a what do you call it? Politician.
No, right. He is, but he inherited all of his dad's money, which is how this all happened. So why doesn't he just buy the damn house? And he wouldn't have any of these issues.
I think I'm not okay. Hold on. There's probably a reason why. I think
because it was booked to happen that way. Yes. I'm sure.
Because I know he inherited a lot of parts of the house.
Yeah.
But maybe I think he got the estate of the farm, but I'm not sure if he got the estate of the house.
Right. Okay.
Maybe that's what it is. So now let's see. So now John and the Norma stuff, they're gonna go find some more records because they're investigators. So now they found this story. They found that so basically what happened was Norman and stuff. The house and all of his estate was in his son's name. Okay, but his son was ill. Okay. So what the records say is the son got sent over to Sweden when he was a youngster, and then when he was 18 he moved back and he was like magically cured. So nobody ever thought of anything, so that's why he got the estate inherited to him, and that's why Bernard could keep the whole estate. What actually happened was Bernard's real son, this Joseph guy, was incredibly ill and probably would have made the journey to Sweden. So, because of money and stuff, Bernard killed his son and grabbed some random orphan kid to be part of his plot and sent him over to Sweden and to pretend like he was the son the whole time. So that's the story of the changeling factor of the whole thing.
Right. That's why it's called the Changeling, because he was switched out as a child to be this other kid.
Yes. So that's why the whole murder level stuff is happening over here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now, they read the rankers. They're getting some more stuff about the ranch because they own like this big ranch area. Okay. And they're trying to find the well because Joseph keeps pointing out that's basically where parts of him are buried was in the well. Okay. Mm-hmm. But now basically John finds out that the house has been reconstructed. The well's still there, but there's been a house that's got built over the well. Okay. And that is made from Mrs. E. Gray, who has the house that's over the well now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So John, now John and Norma are back in the car and stuff, and they're going over like they can't believe it. They're like, "Oh shit, we found out this fucking secret. Like he basically killed his son to keep the estate." That's what they're talking about and everything. And because they said like basically if the son died and everything, all the estate would have gone to the charity, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was trying to avoid that, which is why he switched the kid out to start with.
Yeah. Because I'm guessing like so how does that work? Because they didn't really explain that the estate though. Like why wouldn't it just stay with Bernard if he's alive? I guess something happened where it was all just like going to be in the son's name.
Well, no. I think that what he was worried about was that it was going to go out of the family.
Yeah, if he died. Gotcha.
When Bernard died.
Gotcha.
Not Bernard. Carmichael, the dad Carmichael.
Yeah, Gotcha.
He was afraid that it was going to go out of the family when he died, and he knew his son wasn't going to live to be 18. I think's what they told him.
Yeah.
So he switched. He killed his son and pretended to send him to Europe, and then he came back when he was 18 and he was cured and inherited the family's estate. And then he got into politics, and he doesn't want anybody to know that he's not really this guy's son. So he's trying to keep this on ice for all these years.
Yeah. So now John and Norma go see Mrs. Gray.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And Mrs. Gray's like, well, at first I was going to take your phone call, but then you said something very interesting. You said you did a seance 3 days ago. My daughter was having nightmares. She always has nightmares, but not like this nightmare. Mm-hmm. This nightmare, she saw a boy, a very thin boy, trying to get up through the cracks of the floor. All right.
Yeah, I thought this was really scary too. The way she describes this dream that she's having about how the boy trying to climb up through the holes in the floor.
Yeah.
And see, like, I mean, it's just a story, but I can see that in my head so vividly, and that's terrifying to me.
Yep.
So I guess I'm just different than a lot of people are in the way they look at these things. Like it's scary because I can imagine it, not because I can actually see it, if that makes sense.
So now they go into the room, kind of like a weird room. There's like green shit everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Gray's like, I know you want to tear up this room, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. So they all go to sleep. The daughter that got nightmares before now gets more nightmares. She sleepwalks all the way up into the room where the well is at. She looks down and she can see Joseph drowning in a hot tub pool well thing.
Yeah.
And she freaks out. So guess what? They start digging.
They start digging.
So they dig, and then eventually John, who's digging in like a collared shirt.
Well, yeah, I mean,
with
there's old people.
Pants
Yeah, that's what they wear dress.
They don't
pants
get hot. They don't get hot or nothing.
Nope. They wear dress pants to everything, man.
He's wearing a red collared shirt and he's digging in a fucking ground. Like, come on, bro. What the hell? So he eventually finds, and you'll like this one, and all my wrestling fans from 1998, he found a hand. Was it Mae Young's hand?
It's the one Mae Young gave birth to.
I mean, that's what I thought at first, but apparently it's Joseph's hand. So, and then I don't know who said it, but one person's like, "It's a hand." So the police get there, right? And the police are like, "Man, you know, this fucking bones has probably been there for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You all know whose hand that is?" And then John's like, "Not really." He's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean by not really?
Not really.
What does that mean?" I would have been like, "So how did you all know to dig up a floor that had a hand in there?"
How did you all know to dig here?
That would have been my first question, but I don't know. So basically, and then they go outside and everything, and John tells Norma he doesn't really want to tell the cops anything because they're just going to be like not believing him and be more suspicious about him. All right. So then John breaks back into the house and starts digging up more, and this is when he finds the necklace that has Joseph's name on it and the house symbol.
Yeah, it's coming up out of the floor, right?
Yeah, it basically they did some animation for it comes out of the dirt and everything. So now John shows Norman the necklace and everything. She still wants to go to the cops about all this stuff. John doesn't think the cops will help him because it's something that happened like 70 years ago, and they're probably not going to believe him. And he's like, "I need to confront Carmichael." She's like, "He's not going to talk to you." John's like, "Yes, he will. I have a necklace and a red shirt on. He will talk to me, no problem." So John, like every fanboy of Repubes, all right, he goes and runs to them at the airport. Okay, so he's running to this. Okay, how does this work? He knows where Carmichael is flying out of. Apparently, he gets through. I guess security was lackluster back in the day.
Right. Okay,
Airfield.
that's the thing you got to understand. There wasn't anything as such as security back then, really.
Even for like a politician going through the air, I get it's not like an airport.
Well,
maybe it's like
he's
personal,
like a mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a mayor. He's not like a president or something. But yeah, the thing you have to understand about flying back then was back in the 70s and the 80s, you could actually get on the plane and then buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Like the whole story about D.B. Cooper, the guy that held up that plane and then parachuted out over Washington State, and they don't know what happened to him. He's like an urban legend kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like that guy got on there with no ID at all. He just got on the plane and sat down. So back then you could actually just walk onto an airplane. So yeah, so that makes sense. Like he could actually walk into an airport and walk out on the runway without anybody stopping him. So I totally believe that could happen.
So John's crazy. He's just showing around his necklace. Look at this necklace I got. All right, then they get him off the runway. They ask Carmichael, "Who's this guy?" I was like, "I don't know who that crazy guy is, a fan." All right, then he's like, "Get me on the phone with the detective Dewitt." All right. All right, so now John goes back. Well, basically, Carmichael's like, "He has my necklace. I want that necklace." He tells the cop that. So John goes back to the house. Guess what?
Hears noises.
He hears more noises. Okay,
Take a drink.
Fuck, man, I can't.
Cheers.
I should have bought a tall boy for this one.
Yeah.
Come on now. So he's hearing his fucking noises. All right. And then this is when John, he's a little pissed off now. And like, this is a great line. He's like, "You goddamn son of a bitch. What do you want from me? Huh? There's nothing more to do here. You brat kid." Huh?
George C. Scott does that better than anybody.
Oh, he did
just
it
like,
great.
Just out that screaming, like just angry outburst. He does it in Patton really well. He does it in Christmas Carol really well. He's really good.
That is good at that. Yeah, I had to add it in there somewhere. Because he was like a calm, nice guy throughout the whole film, and then he just freaks out right here. It was great.
And he's like, "What do you want from me?" Yeah.
So now the cop comes in, Dewitt. All right, sees John, asks him what he does, and basically this cop coming in there like, "Oh yeah, I heard you do piano. Oh yeah, I heard you had a seance over there. All right, tell me about the scene that happened today. All right, It's like, what have you been up to over here? You got it in for Carmichael? All right, you trying to blackmail him? All right, and then John's like, I'm not trying to blackmail him and stuff. And then the cop's like, I heard your family died. All right, and John's like, get out of here. All right, and then the cop's like, I want that necklace back. All right, Carmichael wants his property back. All right, and then Norman shows up. She's all pissed off, and she's like, oh shit, there's a cop here. All right, and then the dude's like, okay, I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna get a warrant to search this whole place. And then John's like, he's a tough guy now. He's like, I'll be here. Bring it on. All right. So then Norman says she went back to work and they forced her to resign. All right. And they're going to be taking that fake lease away that they set up to get this house. All right. So now John is all depressed and everything. He's looking into a mirror. The mirror breaks and we can see that the cop is in the mirror. He's kind of like, the cop's face is kind of like side on the mirror.
Yeah.
All right? The phone rings and Norman says, hey, that car, like I recognize that car and everything. That cop that was talking to you flipped over and he's dead now. I was like, oh shit. And my thing, when I watched this scene, I was thinking, okay, wait a minute here. So Joseph has the power to kill people without the realm of the house. Well, why in the fuck was he not doing it earlier? And the only thing I could think of is he got his magic amulet back. His necklace.
Maybe.
His necklace.
Yeah, he got
necklace
the amulet. Right, he got the necklace back.
He got his hand. He got his Mae Young hand back, and he got his necklace back. So now he has all this supernatural ghost powers.
Yeah, because you're right. He does start affecting stuff outside the house.
Yeah.
After that happens. So yeah, maybe you're right.
That's what you need when you're a ghost. You can just be like, bro, just give me my amulet back. Okay? It's my amulet of power. I need it. Okay? Oh, shit. Where was I? All right. So let's see what we got here. So now the Carmichael has landed. Okay? And he's like, okay, give me all the calls and stuff. Oh, I got a call from Do It. Let me take it. It's like, oh, shit, what? He's dead? Well, what's the last known number? John? Give him my information.
Right.
So now, Carmichael invites John to come to his rich person, politician mansion. Carmichael comes out looking like Hugh Hefner for some reason.
I didn't think about that, but he's wearing like a silver robe.
Like a silver robe. I was like, what kind of meeting were you doing here, brother? There's supposed to be some playmates over here? Like, what's going on? By the way, this Carmichael, bro, he had to be like 100 years old. I don't know where they found this guy at. All right, so now he's saying like, so what's this all about? And then basically, John's like, listen, I know your secrets, basically, because I'm living in this house. He's like, I know you're not really Joseph. I know you're some random orphan kid that Bernard picked out of the crowd or whatever and gave you this life. I have a video. I have a tape of the Joseph kid ghost voice telling what's happening, and I got all these records. Here you go. And then Carmichael is like, first he thought he was going to blackmail him, but then John's like, I'm not trying to blackmail you. I actually just want to be in this mansion and play my piano. But I can't do that.
Right.
Because this fucking kid,
makes noises.
He makes fucking noises at 6:30, and I pretty much drunk by now because I drank during this whole show. Okay? So what do you want me to do? But you're right.
He does say that. Like, he figures out the mystery, but he doesn't want to, like, bust the guy or anything.
Yeah.
He's just like, here's all the information I found.
Yeah.
Here's a recording of the tape, and I'm
Can you tell
now.
this dude to, like, just get out of the house or something?
Can you tell this kid to leave me the fuck alone? Yeah.
So then he was saying, then he starts pissing off Carmichael. He's like, yo, your dad's a murderer. Carmichael's like, I will not have you slander my father. You will not slander.
He knows that he's his murderer. He's a murderer, though.
He's a good man. Over here, okay? And then Carmichael's like, how much? And this is when John's like, I'm not here for your money. All right? He's like, my father was a great man, not a murderer. I will not allow you to slander his name. And then this is when he gives him all the tape and the files and everything. All right. And then Carmichael, with his Hugh Hefner threats, are like, if you breathe one word of this, you will wish you were never born. Or you will wish you were never come into this world. I'd have been like, oh man, is that a threat? I got your dead brother over here with magic powers, brother. I'm going to fucking destroy you.
Yeah.
That's what I would have told him. But John, he's a little more relaxed. He's too rich to say all that stuff. So then this suit guy comes in here and Carmichael tells him to go hit the bricks. All right. So now Norman, she's trying to get a hold of John because that's her character. That's her whole purpose of this movie, was trying to get a hold of John every scene at all times. Okay. That's how she was booked.
Yes.
All right. So she eventually can't wait to call him. So now she goes to the house. Okay. She goes inside the mansion that's haunted, that she knows it. And because this is a haunted story, even though Norman or Joseph has nothing to do with Norman at all, Norman never did anything to Joseph at all. Joseph now decides to scare the shit out of Norman and have his ghostly chair chase her around the house.
Yeah, with the wheelchair chasing her, kind of scary.
Was Joseph just pissed off that Norman got fired or something?
I think he's just angry at this point. He's angry with anybody being in the house.
Gotcha. I thought they just like, okay, how are we going to just chair scene? Oh, why don't we just have this chair face the girl? That'd be cool. And then they just add shit in.
And it moves by itself. That's scary.
Then she falls down the stairs with the chair. John comes home, takes her out of the house. Okay. She's freaking out. All right. John now goes back in the house. All right. Tells fucking Joseph, like, what the fuck, man? What are you doing here? All right. Now the house starts freaking out. Noises everywhere. I guess we could take a final drink.
Yep.
That's the end for that one. So during this, and Alison, maybe you could tell me about this because you had more ghost experiences than I did.
Okay.
So the house is freaking out right now. Joseph's powers are all there. He has his hand. He has his necklace. All his ghost powers are inside the house now. He's shaking the chandelier, shaking up the whole house. He's scared. He got this magical wheelchair to scare Norman out of the way. At the same time, all right, Carmichael is staring at his dad with the necklace. With the necklace. Oh, by the way, John also gave the necklace back to him too. So Carmichael has both necklaces. Okay, Carmichael throws one necklace down. He looks at this other necklace and his dad very intently. All right, like very intently on the picture, and then he's looking at this picture so intently that he astro projects into Joseph's house, John's house. Because he was physically still at his mayor's compound or house, but
I was actually confused about this myself.
He astro project to the house because we saw him at the Carmichael. We saw him at the house too.
Not at the same time.
Yeah, he was there at the mansion looking at the picture, but then his soul went to the house. That's how I saw it.
What?
Because at the end,
is this the scene where he's walking up the steps, the flaming steps?
The flaming steps, yes.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure. So, okay, I've never been sure about this. So I don't know if it's a filmmaking error or if they were trying to cut time. But because you're right, he's sitting there and he's looking at the picture and he's freaking out.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, the stairs are on fire, and then he walks into the house and he walks up the steps.
Yes, but
I don't know if he just appears there or if enough time has passed where he drives from his office to the house.
He just appears there because I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because if you notice at the end of the film when he has his heart attack, they pick his body up from the mansion, not for the burning house.
Okay, all right. I see what you're saying. You're right about that.
But his soul, his ghostly soul.
You're right. That's his soul. He's not physically there. You're right.
So Carmichael's walking up the stairs, whatever. John's like, I better get out of here. This place is burning. So he gets on out of there. Okay. Carmichael's walking up the stairs. John has to have a scene where he has to look heroic. So he's laying on the floor. The chandelier is about to come on to him. He gets out of the way because he's Indiana Jones. He gets out of the way. Norman comes in there. They both escape. The house is burning. Okay. Carmichael's now sees now Carmichael with his own ghostly eyes because he's astral projecting right now. He sees his daddy. All right, his adopted daddy killing Joseph in the tub. So now he knows it's all real. It's not fake. It's not fake news. Okay, it's all real. Okay. And while this is all happening, he has a heart attack from his real body. His real body has like a heart attack. Okay. So that's when we see the police show up to the Carmichael's place, take the body away. And it just so happens that Norman and John are there.
Mm-hmm.
The house burns down. The house is burning down.
Yes.
And then as daylight, our Evil Dead camera comes up to the music box, which is still okay. It opens up. It plays our tune from our soundtrack that won a reward.
Yeah.
And then we end. The Changeling has ended. So there you go. The Changeling.
Yeah.
Not a
so
bad movie.
you didn't. You say it's not a bad movie. So, but it's not. You didn't like it as much as I thought you would. I thought you would like this movie better.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, I liked it. I mean, it wasn't my like I said, with me personally, ghost stuff is a little hard. Just because ghosts has never really got to me. You know what I mean?
Got you.
Like, not seeing stuff or shocker stuff is creepy. But, if I put myself in the situation, though, I could see how it could be really creepy with the ball, with the son being drowned and his ghost doing the stuff like that. So,
sure.
But it was a fun movie. I liked it. I could see why very young, maybe like 15, watches this movie. They're like, oh, shit. Like, this is some crazy shit. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But, yeah, pretty fun one. I liked it. So, but yeah, it's been a pretty fascinating month so far here with the J.H. Allison's Ghost Story.
All of my picks, yeah.
But everybody, thanks for joining us here on the Retro Blood. Like I said, as we continue this J.H. Allison's month of ghost stories. And guess what? We are finally going to do it. We're going to find the movie that's the most hardest movie to find anywhere on this planet. 1980's The Entity.
Yes.
Finally, the end out this month. You have no idea how hard it's been for us to get this movie.
I was surprised. I guess because I own the Blu-ray, I assumed that it would be easy to find, but the Blu-ray is out of print.
Yeah, out of print.
You can't stream it anywhere. Yeah. It's not on YouTube.
Nothing.
This is the first time we've ever been completely foiled in trying to find a movie.
Yeah.
Luckily, I own it. So if I didn't own this movie, we wouldn't be able to watch it anyway.
And the problem, too, is hard for us sometimes to meet up in person because I travel for weeks at a time. So it's kind of like hard to do the schedule. So we just like, we finally found a point where we can actually get it done now. So which is nice. But yeah, there's a couple things going on with that too. Like, man, like this whole month has been kind of cursed, especially on YouTube. For like the last 2 episodes, I've had trouble uploading them. Because every time I upload to YouTube, it's like, it takes like 4 hours to get my fucking upload over there. So hopefully I figured out an issue. Golly, I know. Fucking Joseph over here taking our reviews away. So, like I said, everybody, we got one more review of The Entity. And then on The Entity, we'll give you the whole May month, which is going to be my picks for the month of May. Which should be
always fun. Enjoy those. Always enjoy
which
your
should be
picks.
Very fun. So, but Alison, what song do you want to play out of those 2 bands you talked about? What song for the podcast listeners would you like to lead us out with over here?
Man, let's play the opening track from Nobody's Heroes. It's called "Gotta Get Away" because we gotta get away from this scary ghost house.
Gotta get away, man, because John, he cannot live in a small apartment rooms no more in New York. He can only have the finest mansions that are haunted by ghost kids with creepy wheelchairs. He can only have the finest. But even when they burn down, he'll find another one. But at least he now has Norma by his side.
I know. All is well that ends well.
All is well that ends well. But everybody, J.H. Alison, James Kline, we'll see you here next week for The Entity. For real this time.
For real, hopefully.
For real.
See you guys.
See you a lot later.